very fortunate to have a lot of smart people that are leading us. But I don't see how it's smart when we opt to pay for things that we don't know the cost. All I'm saying is why not at least wait and see what will things cost? Because we talk about $2 million, but is that $2 million really from the county or is it from the grant they got from DEP? I mean, I don't know. And those are the questions like, so are we saying we're gonna spend $2 million here, but are you really spending money that is the county's? And even if it is the county's, it's ours too because we pay county taxes. But I'm not advocating that you disagree or whatever, I'm just voicing my opinion as a citizen, but why not at least try to come up with what will or what could be the cost, or add contingencies like Mr. Ryan said. I mean, maybe it is open, but why not put a cap on it? We'll pay up to 10%, pay up to 30%. And why not reach an agreement that way, at least to protect the citizens in case? Because if it turns out to be that you're way off, then you could really be hurt more. So I just don't like the idea of gambling, because you wouldn't do that personally in your own life. I mean, I don't know. That's how I think about it sometimes. Like,
Steve.
I just want to, I guess I'm going to reiterate what Kevin said, and I think Steve too. It doesn't really sound like we have the ability to vote yes, accept. It's either this contract, yes or no, right? I mean, if we start changing words, it's going to go back to the county. They're going to have to re-examine it, which is going to prolong it another month at least. By the time they look at the changes we want to make, vote on it, enact it,
And it comes back to us.
and
Would
then
anyone care to make a motion at this point?
I'll make a motion. Oh, I can't, sorry.
You can make a motion.
Any committee member,
Yes, I motion that we accept this agreement as is stated at this point. I mean, I would make a motion that we accept this agreement for this 5-year.
is there a second? I will second. So let's get the wording in. Authorize.
10%.
Or authorize the mayor, I don't know.
Adopt the agreement as,
It's to execute the, sign, execute.
agreed upon.
Can I ask a point of order?
Yes, certainly.
So if the majority of us vote negatively on it, it still goes to the council, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A positive and negative vote does not prevent this from going into caucus.
Okay.
Okay, it can be discussed again, as much like resolutions last night. Okay.
Mr. Coop, I have a question while you guys are
Yeah.
getting your verbiage right. So if the majority of us, just to tag on what Rennie said, is that a nickname?
Yes.
Okay.
is that your question?
To tag on what his point, he said if the majority of us vote negatively, will it still go to the floor? Well, is that the question, or is the question, if the majority of us vote negatively, what position are we putting the citizens of Kingston in? Is that the question?
Well, that's the question when you vote on the council, on the floor of the council.
Yeah.
Well, that's just my food for thought. What position are we putting our constituents and citizens?
Well, you never know, maybe they'll reach out and talk to the negotiators and say, what's the problem? And maybe they'll say, well, this is
They'll
forever.
play nice?
They don't want it forever.
Okay, well, you guys can shoot dice on that if you want to.
Well, but a vote no here is not
A
a
vote,
requirement of a
no,
vote no.
common council.
Yeah.
Right.
You could be very strategic with your positions. They don't necessarily reflect what you do next.
We could still agree, but not be unanimously agree on this thing.
We
Which
need
is
to decide
it's like
agreement.
they did it on, legislative floor. It wasn't a unanimous agreement. So, I mean, we can still disagree to agreement.
Goes to the motion, the second goes to the floor.
Yeah.
Someone
I mean, it could still
agreed.
pass, could not pass it now, so it could be 5-4 passes. It could be 4-5 doesn't pass.
I'm not recommending you endanger the city.
No.
So I
Well,
like,
that's what
I like
these persons
I
gotta
like
do
the
their thing.
suggestions that there be some visibility for your complaint, but I'm not, I
Correct.
don't know that you, in many ways, in many respects, long before our current mayor was here, and many excellent people on the council were here, we are in some ways outmaneuvered, and it's just something we might have to accept at this time.
But then we start guerrilla war.
The motion on the floor, I'll read it, you tell me, it's your motion. The motion by Alderman Davis is to authorize the mayor to execute the county-city sales tax agreement per mayor's letter and attached agreement of May 2nd, 2016. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, motion is defeated. Huh? Oh, Pat, you have to vote.
Do I gotta do that now? Oh, yeah.
So you had to vote no for the resolution. Could you like? No, and then
That was 2 hours on that.
you guys you can explain that part.
We still got this Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Any more comments on this? More to say?
No, I'm thinking no more said.
Okay,
Defeat it, we see what happens on the town council.
so this will come before the council at caucus
Yeah.
for further discussion. And, okay, we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which, Ralph, should we go with number 3, West Pierpoint?
Mayor Noble's gonna make a couple of comments before I get started. Just with West Pierpont.
That's enough.
So I just wanted to give folks a quick overview of West Pierpont before I turn it over to Ralph and try to go put my son to bed. Maybe. So West Pierpont, from our understanding, I had been combing through some of our old files of inactive projects, and I came across West Pierpont. We did some investigation, and what we pulled was back in 2012, the prior administration signed on to a grant with DASNY, the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, for a multimodal project to repair and resurface West Pierpont Street, which is currently closed. It connects by the Catholic Charities building, by Adams, down to Broadway. And so upon finding that out, we contacted New York State DOT, and we realized that we had received a $186,000 grant. There was a $20,000 match. And at the time, the application, again, was submitted by the prior administration, approved, contracts were signed, but no authorization was ever received by the council. We don't necessarily, we didn't find any correspondence to the council asking for authorization either, from what we could tell. And so what we would like to do is receive your authorization to be able to move forward with the project. If there's technical questions you have, obviously Ralph can handle. I just wanted to give some of the background. This is just a project that's been out there for a long time that we're just trying to pick up and move forward.
Okay, let me give you some background. I don't know how long that road was closed. Can anybody tell me how long that's been shut down?
Since urban renewal,
What?
Back in the 60s.
Okay, so here's the deal. That's my ward. That is an elbow there from Adam Street. You come off it, it's a sharp one way, all right? Put guardrails up on it. The issue came up with Catholic Charities when they moved into the building and renovated it. The parking situation that the residents used to have went away because Catholic Charities came in. That has always been a tough area to park, so they park in areas where it used to be the roadway, there's guardrail, they park there now. If you open that street back up, where are these people supposed to park when Catholic Charities comes in? Catholic Charities was giving them one spot out of all those houses, which is the biggest complaint. Not only that, but you're gonna be a bottleneck. Somebody gets in there and they gotta go down. Second of all, there are stuff underneath that roadway that come out all times of night. Skunks, woodchucks, rats. So you know that there's nothing viable underneath there. It's probably just empty, it's probably structurally unsound. It looks charming as it is right now with a cobblestone street. It's like part of the past, but they did not want that open. I don't know if you knew about the discussions going on with Catholic Charities. It was like many meetings to calm them down because they lost their parking. And now you're gonna have cars coming up on the street where they have to park, and it's gonna narrow it even further for them.
So, I mean, I'll just give you a quick, our intent is to have a one-way street going from the top down. There would be parking allowed on the street. You know.
On that hill?
Yep. There's many hills that are
There's no
steeper.
park on that hill.
There are many hills that are steeper, and we just feel like it will relieve the bottleneck so that folks, when they get into that situation, will be able to go down instead of left. It will help with emergency vehicle access, which was really important when Catholic Charities had the fire. It was very difficult, you know, to access, and we think that by removing that barrier, and it's $166,000 of state funding that was set aside, and again, you know, our conversations, you know, about this project have been that this could be a good way to be able to use state resources to help stabilize that street, you know, remove the rats and the vermin who are living underneath it, and to really help, you know, preserve what's left of it.
I understand it, but we had the small little project of Washington Avenue back in 2006. It's just a little flooding, we'll just put a something in, and guess where we ended up? 5 years later, a huge project. So not knowing what's underneath there, I'm not willing to commit that kind of money, which we have a $20,000 comes out of us. We could potentially be opening up a pit underneath there, which it's on a hill, no less. I'm really very nervous something has been closed that long to open it back up and open us up to any kinds of infrastructure issues. Like I said, I just saw what happened to Washington. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger because of one little flooding aspect. And I'm just very nervous for those people and for the cost of the taxpayers if something goes horribly wrong. And we haven't looked underneath there yet to see what's going to happen before we start doing something.
We did put the camera in there and it.
Oh, we used the camera? Okay, that was good. But what did you see?
Well, the sewer has a major break there.
Right.
Well, I have a problem fixing the sewer. Fix the sewer, use the money to fix the sewer, just leave the road alone. Because I'm afraid once you start going into a sewer, we're gonna open up all kinds of stuff. We had sewer for Washington Avenue, then we had the storm drains, and you're just opening up in an old area of the city, opening it up to something going horribly wrong if we start tampering with it. That's just my opinion.
One couple questions. Ralph, so you did put the camera in, you seen that?
Several years ago.
All right. Second thing is, will that cobblestone stay because it's, or would you
No, well, we would pick that up and then be set.
And blacktop is what we're saying, no?
Well,
No.
there's not enough cobblestone to go from the top to the bottom.
Okay.
Right now there is. Left it.
Well, there's a section.
I know,
that's
it's-
blacktop, and there's some pieces that are missing, and it doesn't go all the way around. But so, but we would, you know, we would try to make something, like maybe a strip down the center, the full way, something that's, you know, maybe blacktop on the sides,
Okay.
but, you know.
Last question. Yes, that road is one way because that's next to my church and at the corner of West Pierpont. And growing up in that neighborhood, I've seen the traffic there and having relatives that live on that street. It's so difficult to get over there. It's difficult when people are parked on the side of the roads you're lucky if you can get one car through there, especially the fire department. When we trying to get a truck through there, it's very difficult if people are parked down there. I feel open this road up, it's gonna give them access. Not everybody has to go onto Adams Street there. Now, if they're dropping off the school, the Catholic Charities there, they can go down the road. They don't have to go on to and make all that traffic go onto Adams Street. Now they have access to Broadway. Obviously, Broadway, they would come down and they're gonna be able to make a one-way turn. And I mean, as long as you look underneath there, and again, Deb's saying, I hope this doesn't come to Washington Avenue thing, and that we can repair
Totally
this pipe.
different situation.
We repair this pipe, that I think if we could do that, I think it's a benefit for the city, and plus the neighborhood there, they will have another access to get, instead of having to go all the way around one way, all the way down to Adams Street, because that's the only way you can turn, and go all the way out to either McKinney, or make that turn onto Roger to go down. Now they have another route. That's my opinion, okay, thank you.
Yes, Mary Ann.
I have a couple of questions. Is there an expiration on the grant?
Yes, well, we found out that it had expired. And when the mayor came down and we started looking at it, but apparently there's another source of funding. And so that kind of spurred my investigation of it, and I found that the existing contract had expired. So I contacted DOT, and they have supplied us, well, I think you have a copy of it when I made my communication, that they have proposed a supplemental agreement, which basically extends the same funding, but it also extends the date to 2020, November 2020.
When did this expire? I know it's in here, right?
Last year, I think.
Okay. And then several years ago, you did the camera, so the camera will be
Yeah, we
prior to...
put the camera in the manhole at the intersection of West Pierpont and Adams. That system is combined there. And we ran the camera downstream 10 or 15 feet, and we had to stop because there was an immediate drop-off of the sewer. But you can see from up above, I mean, there's a big hole in the street,
Right.
so you know something's going on there.
So then, you're saying it's gonna be one-way traffic coming down to Broadway, right?
That's what we thought. That's what.
And then can you turn both ways?
No.
You can only make a right?
Goes at the bottom.
I just wanted to verify that, because there was different,
There's an island in the middle, huh?
so...
Yes, Tony.
Well, it depends on how,
Well,
adventurous.
it depends on your condition of driving, too, I understand. And in that neighborhood, it's a problem, okay? But didn't the charities hook up to the sewer on West Pierpont when they did the renovation?
I think they did.
I think they did too, I think you're right.
Mr. Davis?
My question is, and to Mayor, you said you went back, why did we not go forward with this? Does anyone know?
Well, it was one of those things, we had it on the books, and it just kind of got lost with everything else I was doing. So,
Okay.
You didn't understand.
and, I don't remember all the conversations. I know there was some considerable resistance, by Debbie and others. And so I'm not sure exactly what transpired there.
I wasn't sure if it got approved and it just didn't go through or.
Yeah, well, I couldn't find any resolutions. I looked in the, at the clerk's office, and I couldn't find anything in that kind of time frame. And so that's why I wanted to come back and at least, if you decide to go with it, to reauthorize the funding for it, because I couldn't find a copy of the resolution of that funding.
Right?
I'd like to know more about Deb's concern about the possibility of start work there, and what likelihood do you think there is of there being
Well,
other
the combined
issues?
sewer goes down to Broadway. The sewer comes down West Pierpont and also comes down Adams Street, converges, and goes down West Pierpont.
Something was wrong there.
you know, if we were gonna do something, we would at least separate it up to that point, you know, that block, so that in the future, there could be further separation, you know, wherever the city wanted to separate West Pierpont or some of the structures up Adams Street. Right now, you know, that's part of the Broadway CSO. But you know, the geology there is completely different, you know, and we don't have a tunnel there that's 80 feet deep. You know, we don't have a major intermittent stream like the Tannery Brook that runs through there. You know, it's low sanitary flows and occasional storm drainage from several blocks. You know,
So what's holding, I'm sorry.
magnitude is so
What's
much.
holding up right now, a hill? Or was there a structure to put that street, or was it just a hill that was paved over?
It
In the
was
beginning?
just like,
Well, I only came in 1983.
Just
so
like
it's been closed,
Cross
so
Broadway to East Pierpont, used to sleigh ride down.
Whatever you told me that.
Cobblestone though, right?
Yeah.
Cobblestone. right?
John,
Isn't that historic?
And you had somebody say,
Actually, can we raise money for the city by charging people to sleigh ride?
well, now you can't, but you could, you had somebody say on Broadway to tell you.
John Julie has the floor, please.
But the thing is that historic?
John Julie.
I just asked Ralph, the funding source for the local share of 20, if that hasn't been determined, we need to decide.
yes, well, that was part of the, you know, the funding request. I mean, I don't have any record of prior legislation.
Or bonding that we can find
Right.
during that time period.
Debbie, you go.
Well, I just think it's an unknown. I know you said it's not like the Tannery Brook, but there could be something completely different that we're not even aware of. And it's and that area, it's so old, I'm just very, very nervous to go tapping into something when it's not really a problem, we just blocked it off, other than the varmints coming up out of the covers. But I just don't think
Isn't there a sewer break?
well, yeah, that. So I'm thinking, so there's
Right, I
something
mean,
else going on
either-
underneath there,
Well,
so.
no, it's an old clay tile pipe. I mean, the joints come apart on a slope. They're more susceptible to creep. They come apart. We don't know what may have happened to cause maybe physical damage to the pipe.
It's fairly small, 12 inch.
It's,
And
I think it is, it's either 10 or 12.
I have a question for you. The width of the road, is that just a one-way width or is it wide?
No, it's a fairly wide street.
Could you do like diagonal parking on one side?
Perpendicular parking.
Okay.
I guess it's
I thought
possible.
diagonal.
It was two-way.
Newburgh parking.
That's what I'm saying, so
Okay, it was two-way.
that would help, you know.
Right, well, we can do as much as we can and still maintain,
Right.
you know, a.
So you planned on doing
a
that,
street
putting
width.
the parking down
We'll utilize the space however we
Good.
can.
Yeah, do
Tony?
sideways and then you can get more in.
Oh,
Yeah.
They spread it, yeah.
Oh, man, I had two questions.
Come on in.
That's why.
Two questions.
Have a Snickers, you're not yourself.
One, Ralph, and so before we get, you said a couple years ago you wanted to put the camera in, or just recently?
Several years, yeah.
7 years ago, so obviously you were going, would you be able to utilize that camera before we got into all this?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, secondly, all this, you know, that's brought this up, that, you know, we're scared about going in to see what it is. That's what we're gonna have to do with our infrastructure throughout the city. It's falling apart. We're going to have to go in and do things, and it might not be good, it might not be what we want it to be, because our infrastructure is falling apart. So we're going to have to go in and look at
I'm not
other
against-
sections. No, I'm not saying you're against it, I say, you know, you stated that you want to go in, you see all this, and it might be. We're still gonna have, throughout the city, we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna have to touch other places around the city that are falling apart. I mean, the city is old and our infrastructure is old.
We might be able to do that in hours.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to do it. So,
Can we,
You may have more time to design it now.
May not be able to. But I'm talking about us actually putting the pipe in.
Yes, well, we should be able to
Yes.
do that.
Do
We
you
should
have
be.
any money left from that money we allocated there?
For the drainage?
Huh?
For the drainage?
Yeah.
We haven't spent much of that.
Okay.
Good deal.
Randy?
I just wanted, you were talking about Catholic Charities parking along there. Do you have any idea how many cars they normally have there?
Well,
Oh,
they take up, no, have you been, you,
The one
no.
along the side of the building is back as the.
They have daycare, they have daycare there too, at one point, and they had the food bank there.
No, that's
And,
the one on
and
the
then
side.
there's basketball at night. So there is
So that
parking.
diagonal marking.
But I'm just saying, so if you would feel fairly confident that you could put in parking that would adequately.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the width of the street, but it's, I'll bet it's more than, it might be 36 feet wide.
Yeah, it could be.
It was one.
That's like a major question, if you were able to tell the folks there actually have more parking spaces.
If you could tell them for sure, I mean, they're not gonna be thrilled parking on a hill like that, because
That's the
they're,
people going to that.
well, that people going to, because most people are elderly on that street.
So they can park in front of their houses now.
Can I ask if anyone wants to move on this? I remind you, we have an 18-item agenda. We're on the 4th item. Anyone want to make a motion on this, or?
I will move that we accept, that we go with the recommendation of the city engineer.
A second? Thank you. Let me read it and see if this is what you said.
Right?
Engineering.
Yeah.
Whereas the city previously received a multimodal number 2 grant for the reconstruction of West Pierpont Street between Adams Street and Broadway, and whereas the work remains incomplete, and whereas the contractor for funding with DOT expired, and whereas as a supplemental agreement extending the contract time through December 30th, 2020 has been offered by DOT. Therefore, be it resolved that bonding in the amount of $186,376 be reauthorized, and the mayor be authorized to sign the related documents on behalf of the city of Kingston and in furtherance of the project. I think that's what you said.
That's exactly how
I
we read
thought
it
that-
last night, yes.
Yeah.
Those exact words.
I just want clarification from
I have a
Ralph.
question.
Okay, go on, sorry.
And Steve, you seconded that.
Yeah.
What, okay.
I'm gonna have a separate bond authorization committee report as well. We have to separate the bonds.
Want to write that? Okay, thank you.
Mayor's got a question.
The mayor's got a question.
I have a question. Okay, so we're gonna bond for 186, but John, you said we had also include the 20 match?
I have 186,376, of which 20,000 is the eventual city share.
That's in here or no?
Yes, that's, it's actually, if you go to the last page of the attachment,
Yeah.
the state multimodal funding is 166,376, local funding is 20,000. Well, with the, getting the bonding authority for the full amount allows us to borrow for cash flow if we need to fund the project until the grant funds come in. Doesn't mean we'll take advantage of that, but 9 times out of 10 we don't, and we just end up bonding what our local share was.
You're not rounding this? Rounding?
I have a question before we go any further. All right, let me get this clear. 186 is to do a study or to actually start repairs?
We will do the design in-house, and then we will go out to bid.
Okay, now what happens if the project comes in over $186,000?
Well, the mayor has mentioned to me that there is a source for additional funding.
Where?
The state, I think that there, you know, this grant originally came through New York State from Kevin Cahill's office.
But there's no guarantee that we're going to apply.
There's never any.
See, that's, I'm afraid we get going and it turns out to be more, then we're right back where we
Well,
started from again.
You know, if we get going and we get bids in and, you know, it's astronomically high and the mayor was is not able to get additional funding, why then
You can shut it down.
you make a spot repair in the sewer, and then you go away.
Okay, we have a motion, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Oh, yeah, the bonding, yeah. Okay. Engineering.
Good night, everybody.
Respectfully request
Aye.
bonding
Good night.
authorization in the amount of $186,376 for the reconstruction of West Pierpont Street between Broadway and Adams Street, with the eventual amount to be bonded to be reduced by available grants. Estimated $166,376. Motion?
A motion.
Second?
Dinner, I did.
Was that a second?
Oh, no, I can't vote.
She
I'm
can't
not on
vote.
the plane.
Oh, excuse me, right. Steve, you second?
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. Opposed?
Opposed?
Thank you, thank you.
Just keep in mind that bond authorization does need to be passed by a supermajority vote on council floor.
Okay,
Number four
number 4.
is a two-part one. You asked about Washington Avenue tunnel alternatives, and I am here to report that we advertised for RFPs in April 7th. We received proposals in early May, and we are about to begin evaluation of those proposals. We just completed proposal review for engineering planning grant. So that is where we are with that, with alternatives to the Washington Avenue tunnel that you asked me to pursue. I would expect that by next month, I will have a recommendation for an engineering firm to look at these alternatives.
Refresh my memory. This is an alternative to doing what?
To the
Fixing the problem, so the sewer will run under the $7.5 million project.
Currently, we have an ongoing plug.
Thank you.
To the tunnel. And the cost proposal that I had brought last time was roughly $700,000 to clear the plug, and then, of course, there was going to be, have to reline the sewer as well. And last time that cost us $328,000, so you can expect probably at least that much, several years later. And there might be some other additional ancillary costs, but anyway, so you asked me to go in this other direction. So that's where we are in that.
So this is a temporary fix.
No.
This would be a permanent fix.
So this will be just a pump.
The pump.
And it's an alternative to the tunnel itself, and that might take many different forms, who knows? The other part of this item is the bypass pumping. Since I have an ongoing we have an ongoing sanitary overflow that's confined in the tunnel, I cannot allow stormwater from the Tannery Brook to enter into the tunnel.
Right.
So that means I have a 10-inch pump out there that as part of the Washington Avenue tunnel job, I had to set up as an extra cost install a ductile iron pipe in there to carry this bypass stormwater. We currently have a rented pump out there that's costing us $7,000 or $8,000 a month. And since an alternative, if you chose an alternative, that's a long-term solution. And I said last meeting that would take, 3 to 5 years to implement anything. So that means you need to bypass the tunnel for 3 to 5 years. And so if it was 5 years at $8,000 a month, how much money is that? It's a lot of money. So you said, why don't you investigate a purchase option of the pump? So I have done that, and you can buy the used pump out there for about 2/3 the cost of a new pump. And to my thinking, why buy a used pump for 2/3 of the cost? It's got a lot of hours on it.
Buy a new one.
But you would buy a new one with a warranty. And with the piping that we have in there, a reasonable budget to utilize would be $150,000. And so that's this resolution.
Yes, Mary Ann.
Well, can you tell me, and I'm going back in time, when the tunnel was being designed and things were being corrected, I remember it being spoke of the circular flow thingy that was gonna go in there so that the water wouldn't sit, so that it would be continual flow.
It's a vortex. It causes the water to swirl.
Right.
And as it's swirling, it goes, rather than go plug flow down the 30-inch diameter shaft, and as it's flowing plug flow, it doesn't allow air to escape. And so what happened is that the manhole cover in Elizabeth Street stormwater shaft gets blown off, and you see videos on the internet with water geysers going 40 feet in the air.
Because of that thing?
Yes. No.
This resolved
because
that?
Yes, this
And it
will
did
resolve
go.
that. Because it allowed, the water will spin and there'll be a hole in the center for air to escape.
And that's in there already?
Yes, that's already installed.
Okay. That was my question.
Jim?
Now,
What year are you going to?
I'm going to current now.
All right.
So you said 4 to 5 or 3 to 5 years that you wanted to do a different solution.
That would be my guess.
So in the interim, you can't do any investigation of the existing tunnel that doesn't work because you're not spending any money. And
Well, we've inspected the existing tunnel from one end to the other over the last several years.
I'm not just talking about the section that we're having the issue with.
Oh, okay.
And I'm talking about being able to determine the exact cause of the failure.
Well, we have pictures of it. We know.
So you know that it wasn't cured long enough?
No, no, we haven't.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, no, we haven't been able to get samples.
And that's what I'm talking about. So if you wait 5 years or never going to get a sample, you're never going to get any resolution from if it was anybody's fault. And we're just going to pay them right to check it, and that'll be at the end of it. If we did the job to replace that and fix it, we would be able to get the materials of the existing liner, have it tested to see if it was adequately cured or not, right? Do you think that's something that you would advise that we do or not?
That's probably a good recommendation.
So have you talked to anybody else
No, I have
in
not.
this city to see if they would want to proceed? I mean, it just, it makes no sense to me not
Well,
to.
in order to do that, I would have to have a crew for confined space to enter and.
No, but I'm talking now, I'm off that. I'm talking now about completing the job and doing the repair and relining and,
Yeah.
because all this water, if there's a rainy season, has has to go now to the surface and it's not going to the roundout.
Right.
And that'll have an effect on all the neighbors
That's
through
right.
there and all that, and how do we address that? We really have no plans to put a culvert in there to accept additional water runoff or anything like that effect, right?
There is, I mean,
No.
we've gone down this road and we've, we've installed this shaft.
Right.
And for stormwater, it seems to me, I mean, we don't have many alternatives.
And we should utilize it, right?
For sanitary, it's possible you could do something else for sanitary. But for stormwater, you have to get it relocated from where it was going originally. And that means to get it down into the Washington Avenue tunnel. Because there's no reasonable other.
I know you blacktopped the road and everything, but I certainly wouldn't want that big pump sitting there running for 5 years and every day I'd have to listen to it.
Yeah, well, it's on floats, so it runs, we have it, yeah, and there's a 24-inch overflow pipe that we're utilizing. And so the only time the pump will run is when a storm is larger than about an inch of water. But there, if you have a 100-year, if you have a 50-year storm there isn't a pump big enough to handle that flow. If you have a 25-year storm, there's not a pump that you can rent that's big enough.
So your suggestion, or at least I think your suggestion would be to complete the project
Yes.
as originally.
Yeah, that was right. Yes.
I understand looking for alternatives,
Yes.
and that was kind of a frustration vote, I
Yes,
think, because it's been so long, it's been so costly that it just, then you think you're completed and then you find out you have another
Nobody's more
issue.
frustrated than me. I mean,
Exactly, and I understand that, and, to me, it would be like, okay, let's just complete this job. I mean, it's all blacktop, everyone thinks the project's completed and it looks great, but it's not working underneath, I mean, it's
Right.
like.
That's
it's
right.
like a
Yeah,
facade.
that's exactly how I feel. I mean,
Did anybody ride on it?
not yet. We're going to open it Monday.
I know that, but.
You're first.
Well, people have been driving on it, some people sleep through there.
The trash truck's been there.
Right,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Oh, and
Be a test to make sure.
Tony?
So Ralph, you're saying it'd be another additional 700K to go in here to.
That was,
Fix this.
1.2 million, probably.
yeah, it was
1.2 million more to get this water,
to fix the tunnel.
for this water to
The
go.
sanitary, yes, to fix the sanitary.
Which is right now you're pumping.
No, I'm bypassing, it's flowing up into the storm chamber,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a hole downstream about 200 feet, and we have a sandbag, so it comes up, flows down the storm chamber, and then back down into the sanitary sewer. And all this is happening right underneath the Tannery Brook shaft.
But anyway, we fix this, it would just flow like it's supposed to do under
That's right,
Washington.
that's right, that's right. I mean, it's a fine thing to look for alternatives, but you gotta realize that, that's a long-term solution, and I agree that, we need to do something with the tunnel certainly over the next 10 or 20 years, because, it's just a huge liability hanging out there.
Doug, on a question.
Yes.
Ralph, you have a 200-foot blockage in the system?
Almost 200 feet long.
Almost 200 feet long. What you suspect that it's the grout?
Well, we know that the fiberglass liner was collapsed, squeezed like this, and in the process, it ripped longitudinally and kind of unzipped, and the grout that was being injected came into the pipeline and flowed down the pipe. Now, this tunnel has a sag in it, so this happened downstream of the sag. So the grout actually flowed upstream in the system, but into the sag, filled the sag, and actually went all the way the compressed pipe is all the way up to the head wall, just upstream of the Tannery Brook shaft.
So that's 200 feet.
That's, yeah, it's close.
Not, and you don't know why the fiberglass pipe collapsed?
Well, when it happened, coincident with the very last few days of grouting. And it happened, they were grouting interior columns in this arch. So you already had the outside columns installed. And so you had a confined system. And in the process of continuously grouting, the pressure in the system grew to the point where it collapsed that fiberglass pipe, and it couldn't go anywhere because it had a wall on this side and a wall on this side that's holding it inside.
So it went upstream because the pump pumped it upstream, the grout.
Well, the pressure, it was under high pressure, and it just broke in and it flowed by gravity, and the gravity took them actually
upstream,
which was downstream. It went upstream because there's a sag in the pipe.
Oh, not because
it came downstream a little bit, but it went upstream.
Miriam?
Because of that, is the contractor liable at all? Like, did what happened during their?
Kevin is investigating that.
But see, that's why you need some samples of the fiberglass liner, which was at the time the thickest and strongest liner you could buy. It comes in soft, and then it's inflated, and then it's cured with, they pull something through the pipe.
Light.
With the black light on it, and it'll cure the piping. But a lot has to do with the speed of the light going through and things like that also, or maybe there was water or something in there. And then usually they'll test it and make sure it's okay before they give it to you. But you never know what happened, until you test it. You're pretty confident that the machine that you would get to bore the grout and everything out will be okay, and that'll work, and I've seen it seems pretty heavy.
These directional boring will drill through rock. And this is grout.
So now, just so I understand the process, you don't go in a hole or anything. You go on the surface at an angle, and you go down into the shaft.
That was the proposal that of the contractor that we were working with at the time that they had put together. But at this point in time, we no longer have an emergency. Because we have the overflow control, we have the pump in place to control the stormwater to a certain degree. So we would have to actually bid work. And so I've talked to Brian about it a little bit, and so we would put some general language together and bid it. And, another contractor might have a different twist on it a little bit.
We asked you to look at this alternative,
Yes,
which
you
you've
did.
done.
Yes.
Am I now hearing that you don't think this is the best alternative?
No, I didn't at that time. But the conversation went, and then it just kind of took off in the committee, and you decided to ask me to go for alternatives and also for a pump. And so that's why I got budget figured for the pump.
But the question is, do you feel that this is
Yeah, that's what I said.
that was the original, or you sort of originally?
You got an A and a B here, alternatives. This is B.
Yeah. Oh, Plan A was the way to go.
You still think that?
Yes.
And you've done this respectfully, because we asked you to.
Yes.
We would be completely done with the job if the grout didn't come up and screw it, it don't work that way.
And you cite, there's not a pump that will handle a 25-year storm.
No, because the flow is, that's estimated by the engineers that worked on the project for us. I forget which year storm it was. It wasn't a 100-year storm, but it was 110 CFS, which is, I don't know, 40,000 gallons a minute, some huge number. That pump will handle about 5,000 gallons a minute.
Okay.
I was trying to think, sort of clarify, because I didn't know what you meant by 25 years. I'm like,
Well, it's just, when you look at stormwater, they look at it statistically, as far as rainfall events go. And so they've broken it down into a 100-year storm, which you often hear about, or a 50 and a 25, a 10, a 2, and, different regulatory agencies, like for culverts in a street, they might design it to a 10-year storm because the danger of an overflow is rather low, the danger to health and property damage. But as you get into bigger structures, bigger facilities, then of course the danger to the public or property due to a failure or to an excessive storm is higher. So you make the pipes bigger, even though there's only one chance in 100 you're going to need it.
If you don't, it will.
Right.
So does anyone want to make a motion on this?
I mean, we can, if you want me to put together this bid and advertise for it, I can go ahead and do that. And then I would bring it back.
Then you get an exact figure.
For you all to...
But we don't need this then.
I haven't seen.
That one is strictly for purchasing a pump. So you could put that off. I mean, it's only, it's only...
nobody's in motion or something.
Nobody's made a motion to do this, so.
Right. So why don't you give that back to me?
Anybody motion to do it?
And I'll hold on to it for maybe next month or the month after.
All right, well, thank you for the work you did on that.
Sure.
And Jim, thank you for
that wasn't that line of question right there.
That helps. Okay, number 5, Andy Murphy.
Andy Murphy.
I just add on Andy Murphy.
Just what's on there, Ralph,
It's over, we're good.
the numbers on that.
Well,
Alternative design incorporate exterior gutters, which you say is a cost saving, but yet you're asking for more money.
Did some kind of calculations, I don't know.
Yeah.
Easier to install, but they cost more. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
You can't put the built-in gutters, they're gonna put exterior gutters, and
yes.
then you say, but that revised scope includes exterior gutters at a cost saving, but you want more money.
Well, at a cost savings to what you would have had to spend if you reconstructed the built-in gutters. We have built-in gutters there right now.
Right.
The original plan was to replace the built-in gutters.
Right.
But the damage the structural damage to the building was a lot more severe than was originally interpreted and expected by the architect when he put the design together. So when we started taking it apart, we saw this other structural damage that would have to be repaired at the same time that you construct the built-in gutters.
So the gutters themselves.
That was going to blow the cost up. So what we did was we patched everything back together and we proposed these exterior gutters. And yes, we still have to make the structural repairs, but we don't have the additional cost of the built-in gutters.
Okay, so
And we also, in the future, you can see if the gutter is failing or not when you have an exterior gutter. Okay. If you have an interior gutter, you got to get up on a ladder, which nobody does, and actually inspect the gutters.
Let me read the committee report. If someone wants to move on it, they just say so moved. Engineering, whereas the renovation work at the Andy Murphy Center was not completed in 2015 due to unanticipated conditions uncovered during the work, and whereas the revised roof edge improvements and certain interior upgrades designed and bid, and whereas the additional work requires additional funding, period. Therefore be resolved that the original bonding level of $700,000 is increased to $900,000, and also be it resolved that the mayor is authorized to enter into contract with Given Construction, Gannon Construction for general construction work in the amount of $622,000, and J&J Sass Electrical work in the amount of $38,000. So the estimated financial impact is $200,000.
Yeah, originally, the council provided $700,000.
Right.
We spent $262,000 under the previous, last year, to do the work. We also had architectural services for that phase of the work. That was $44,500 plus some of the design work for the next section.
So the additional funding request is
so we had
90s.
Yeah, so we really spent out of that 700,000 about 330,000. Now we're going to add, 622,000. So we have roughly $350,000 less or left over from last time.
Yeah.
So we need the difference.
I understand.
And so
you gave us the math.
Yeah,
well.
right.
Is that the number, Ralph?
900,000 is the new number for all of the work. So I might have screwed up, what we were talking about, in the last paragraph a little bit in our conversation last month, but.
Does that 900 includes the 262 that's already been done?
Yes, that will incorporate, if we have a total of $900,000 available.
Okay. So you just need 200 more.
Right, because he's got money that's unspent.
No, that is wrong, that is wrong.
What you did, you said 700,000,
Yeah,
330,000 plus another 622,000.
Yes, I'm
Comes out to 992,000.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
The total budget with contingencies is $900,000 now.
Minus 303. Maybe a
We
597.
Figuring out the sales tax agreement.
We have, I think we have a little bit more than that, 303 remaining, but we do need roughly $600,000. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 597.
We need roughly $600,000.
This is because it went out to RFP, right?
Oh, yeah, it's been bid.
Yeah. One bid, right?
Yeah, one bid. It's hard to say why there was only one bid. There's
Because I know we'll get more later.
one requirement that the city has placed on all contracts over $100,000 is that contractors have an apprenticeship program. Not all contractors have an apprenticeship program. And so that limits the pool in some respects, in some cases, the contractors that bid on this work. And in this case, I don't know if that was the case for sure or not, but we do only have one bid.
Yeah, we got one bid, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's the reason?
I know it's an issue with some contractors.
But their bid was less than the architect thought it should be. So that gives you a little security.
Is it a issue
union, non-union, or an issue union?
Well,
Like apprentice program?
In some respects, it's an issue, union, non-union. The larger open shop contractors have the wherewithal
To do both.
to pay for an apprentice